What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Hogwarts Legacy. Today I just wanted to jump in. I've completed the quest, so I wanted to show you guys the talent trees, give you guys an idea of what I think about the talent trees, and address one of the main issues that I feel like the developers really need to address sometime here immediately soon, because it really is a pain in the ass. So let's talk about that first. First up, I think everybody can agree that the one thing that is a really pain in the ass is literally this, like your gear. Like, why is it that I'm like feeling like I'm like, you know, 10 hours into the game and I'm still at like 24 gear slots? Like, you do one whole freaking quest and you're pretty much all geared, maxed out, and then I'm stuck between destroying gear and stuff like that. So, and I'm not even trying to hold on to gear. I'm just trying to, you know, play the game and run around and collect stuff. And this is where I'm at. I don't like it. It's one of those things that they really need to fix, because it's kind of annoying, to be perfectly honest. The transmogrification that's inside the game is pretty decent and good, because it makes you not feel like you need to hoard any items. However, the bad part is that like I'm literally like still holding on to items because I don't have a way to sell these things and get rid of them while I'm on missions. And even then still I have to go to like a place in town or one of the hamlets in order to sell them. It's just too much hassle. It needs to just be able to sell these things right away and stuff like that. Like, it's just a pain in the ass to carry these things, especially with such limited slots. Like 20 slots to start was just terrible an idea. Next thing I want to talk about is specifically the talents. So we've unlocked the talents inside of here. I finally did that, and I've got 12 talent points, right? So first up, I'm going to take a look at the spells talent inside here, right? For real, inside here, you can see like Incendio, you know, Accio, Leviosa, and then we've got like Confringo and Depulso, and then we also have Defendio, right? So Bombarda is another spell inside here that we can see like all the stuff that we're gonna look at. We got Descendo, and then we've got Glacius and Transformation Mastery, right? To be perfectly honest with you, the only one that I'm interested in like kind of leveling up is Accio. Out of the whole tree, like I don't really see a need to level up some of these. Like having Leviosa and Accio are pretty much almost like the same damn thing. The only reason why you basically have to use one or the other is because of the shield that the people that, you know, your enemies have. So it's like, you can level up Leviosa if you want to, but I don't really need it. And to be honest with you, there's ways around having to specifically use this to target. Like you can use Ancient Magic, or you can use one of the things in the area. Just kind of easy to work your way around. So I don't really feel the need to like level up any two, but there are some things that are required in there to like levitate a target or something like that. Incendio, I'm not a huge fan of Incendio. It's cool that this one is there, so if you are a fan of Incendio, then you can use this one, because it basically like mitigates you having to be that close to have a target hit you, and that's kind of good, right? Like I think that's good. Then we've got Defendo inside here. I like it because it kind of reminds me of like, well, I was wondering why we don't have Sanctum Sempra, I think it is. You know, Harry cast that spell on Draco, and I was like, this one kind of looks like it or whatever, but whatever. Then we got Depulso inside of here. I don't really see a need for this spell, really, but maybe it's just me. And then Confringo is like a different version of Incendio, where it's a little bit of longer range, so that could be good, right? But not exactly leveling up. Glacius, in order to freeze enemies and stuff like that, not so bad. Descendo Mastery is inside here. It's nice that it adds a little slam and stuff, but most of the spell talent tree, I just don't see a need for, right? I don't think I'm going to be investing very many points in there. Same thing for the room of requirement. Like, I think this is like specifically like you are going towards utilizing this, right? Like Iridus is one of those good potions that you can make inside there, because it does give you like invulnerability for targets and stuff like that. But just get good at Protego or dodging realistically, right? So then we've got the invisibility potion. I mean, you might as well just invest in stealth and then just go with the disfiguration. At least that's my opinion, right? Fertilizer inside here, like I haven't used these chomping cabbages once, and I don't think I'm gonna use these chomping cabbages like for real. And then we've got like the mandrakes and stuff like that. Like, it's weird, it's like these are like specific kind of builds that you would go to, but I just don't see why you would go into using these specific skill trees like in order to do things. So it's like kind of weird, right? Like I don't really see a lot in there, which leaves the 3 skill trees that I think that you should be investing your points in, because you can see like 10, 16, so that's 26, and then 4, so you're at a total of 30. So that gives you 5 other points to basically use, because I think it's like 35 talent points that you get in total. So that gives you your skill trees to basically go directly into these 3, because they're going to also be some of the better skills, to be honest with you. And then you can maybe invest like the 3 into like whichever, you know, points inside here. Like I don't see a point for the rumor requirement, but like, you know, yeah, maybe with the other 5 points you could go with like, you know, any 5 of these spells inside of here, like to basically get yeah, let me know what you think about those, right? But outside of that, like this is a skill tree that I think everybody's going to invest in, especially with the majority of the players, you know, invested inside the House of Slytherin. You're going to end up going dark arts, and I think these have a lot of really good talents that the other ones kind of don't take advantage of, like the level 5 curses inside here, where like you can use Expelliarmus. I think that one has a lot of viability for like the combat inside this game and helps you slow down a target more than something like Glacius would. So I would go Expelliarmus in that regard instead of Glacius, right? And so like this, with this one you also get the curse that's on there, so they're going to take increased damage from, you know, from your attacks, so it's better, right? Stupefy is really cool because this makes you get good at using Protego and Perfect Protego, and now it adds a curse on there, so it's also increasing damage. The same thing for like dealing damage to cursed targets. Basically with these you're basically boosting those up, and then you can see like the knockback curse, so like Flipendo has the same effect as curse on enemy effects. It's good, right? Because it's just basically giving you ways to up accelerate the attacks on targets. We have the enduring curse, so now that amount of time is going to last, which is only going to help us with other things. You can see like the slowing curse inside here, so like when we unlock Arrest of Momentum, it has the same effect as curse on enemies, so we're just basically creating damage over time on targets while we're actually attacking them. Like Crucio Mastery over here, I like the fact that, you know, it's projectiles to other enemies, so it's like kind of crowd clearing, right? Then we've got like Imperio, right? So you're putting targets under control, which is another reason why like going into some of the other good talents don't quite make as much sense as just going into your dark arts, because the dark arts are just so much more powerful, granted, right, than like your other ones, because if you're just trying to be a good wizard, then be a good wizard, but I'm not trying to be good to anybody who's trying to knock and kill me. So defeat a cursed enemy, restore some of your health. For the Curse Sapper, this is a really good skill, and then killing an enemy with EVGA kills all cursed enemies. That is absolutely insane and really good, because you're just trickling curse to the other targets. It has an enduring effect, and then you basically use EVGA in order to like hit things, right? That's like awesome in my opinion. Inside stealth, like I started playing around with stealth. It's really funny because like you can use stealth trees and you can cast Petrificus Totalis on a target that doesn't see you, and it makes for really easy play. Like you can go into mobs of areas and just really just waylay them with this and like clear them really easy. Add on that they're giving you ways in the game to basically reduce the detection even more, and it's just going to be ridiculous. So like now I can, you know, reduce the detection. I can sprint while I'm in disillusionment. I can reduce it even further, and then over here finally like I can have an area of impacts that's on them. So like this to me is like easily 4 points to easy to take. Like unless you just straight up are like, I just want to attack stuff and I want to do head-on battles like that. But this is like game on easy mode right here. And then we've got your core slots, right? So there's a couple of core slots in here that just seem like musts, and some of them that like questionable to me, right? One, I wasn't very happy with that, you know, even on the PC, my spell knowledge or the slots that I was using was limited to 4, right? Why? When I have up to 0 to keybinds. Like we all play like MMORPGs where people play those and we have like all the skill slots available to us, but we're limited here to 4. It kind of like the game wasn't developed for PC play, which is just really weird. But then when you get inside the talent tree, you see, well, you're trying to limit me on the spells that I can use at any one given time. You're like, really, man? Like, you shouldn't have did. Like, it's kind of a weird choice to basically put these in here, because it feels like you're just packing the talent tree to have these things inside here. So it's weird. But you do have spell knowledge 1, 2, and then 3 up here. So I think there's a 4th one in here as well that maybe I'm missing. Yeah, because I think you're allowed to have a total of 4. But anyways, nevertheless, digress, right? So you can see those spell knowledges inside those. Ancient magic, throw expertise, catches and throws disarmed enemies. Like, this is not bad overall. This is just like your basic cast masteries and stuff like that you know are going to benefit your character overall. Like, one of those to invest in obviously is your basic cast mastery to impact you know, reduce spell cooldowns. I feel like that's something you should be taking in the early game, especially like if you've noticed like you use Accio or you use Incendio, and those spells, they seem to have a longer cooldown. So like if you've got like 5 or more enemies and you're attacking, it doesn't seem quite like, you know, you're actually getting those. Protego absorption and casting the perfect Protego blocks contributes more to the ancient magic meter. Anything to get your ancient magic meter up in order to kill some of those field boss type enemies in the area is going to be really good, especially there. Now, I don't think this one's actually a necessary skill. Like, it's swift, so it's basically like almost like you're apparating to places or whatever. But the funny thing about this, I don't really feel like this is necessary. To be perfectly honest, you could forego this completely. The normal dodge is perfectly fine enough. This one gets you a little bit out of way, but I've noticed that some enemies have the ability to just track on you for that distance as well. So it's almost like the same as just doing double dodge in the first place. However, I probably will be taking this skill anyways because I just like the way it looks. So that's the truth of the matter. So then we've got over here like William Will potency. If you're not like, there's no reason not to take this other than to make the game more difficult for yourself. If you're finding like you're using potions quite a bit because you're not timing Protego or you're not timing dodge really well, then yeah, go for Wiggenweld. I'll probably hold off on this one just because I'm not really having the problem of using Wiggenwelds that much. Like, it's weird because a lot of the game's skills still remind me of like playing The Witcher, where I'm like, I've got Ken, I've got Ard, and I've got like, you know, so like Quinn is like the one that's up there all the time, and you just can basically like, that's Protego, and you just like defend yourself all the time, right? So then we've got the spell knowledge 3, obviously, so we can swap between skills over here. Kind of good because it's kind of annoying having to constantly swap in and out for skills and things like that. Like, it's pretty annoying. So like, for instance, inside here, instead of having to potentially have like, you know, I can basically, you know, use like a roaming kind of tree for, you know, things like Lumos and disillusionment and and then I can have another one for attacking and stuff like that. Like, so kind of works in that way. I would stick to like your main attack things that you're gonna have, and then like these attacks and, you know, these offhand things or whatever, so that way you can have them that way. I think is better. You can increase the Wiggenweld to greater effect, which isn't a bad thing at all, especially if you feel like you need it. I really like this Stupefy mastery for the remaining stun for a longer period of time, especially paired with some of the other ones. If you're dodging a lot, this is a good thing to go for, right? If you're using Protego a lot, this is a good, you know, then this might not be a good thing to go for. It's almost like, you know, playing Dark Souls, right? And like some people like to, you know, counter, and some people just like to dodge. And so like, if you're doing one more than you do the other, or you're not really using it, then, you know, you might want to ignore this, at least for the early stages of the game. All right. You can see Protego expertise, blocking a spell with a perfect Protego sends back 2 projectiles at enemies. That's kind of nice because it helps for the crowd control a little bit, you know, like I like that a lot. And then we've got basic cast airborne absorption, so basic cast impacts on airborne enemies, those contribute more to the ancient magic meter. So they basically took in the Devil May Cry, you know, Mortal Kombat juggle them kind of idea. So if like I keep them juggled, now I'm just generating more. So like that Accio Leviosa combo really works out a whole lot, because I can throw an enemy up in the air, keep them there for like 3 or 4 hits, build up my ancient magic meter, keep them up in there with a Leviosa, and then kind of keep going. This kind of works for basic level things that you can juggle inside there. So it's kind of good for low end monsters. Some of the heavier ones that you can't do that to, Stupefy dealing direct damage is obviously going to be a really great thing, right? Especially if you're practicing that Protego inside there. And the Protego mastery, that blast, obviously this is a reason why that's at level 22, right? Because the Protego in and of itself is such a good skill. You're getting Stupefy off of a Protego, and now you're getting a blast that breaks enemy shields as well. Like, you can see why I say, like, I don't really need to necessarily go into Leviosa, for instance, like, because if I get to level 22 and I have these, why go and invest in, you know, like, what was it again? Like, so like over here inside the spells, for instance, right? Why go in and invest in certain skills if you're not using Leviosa a lot, and maybe you're just using Accio, for instance? Like, I have ways to mitigate using one or the other because they're basically the same skill, or the same the same spell with a little bit of a different effect. They basically hover, the one pulls targets towards you and the other one just levitates targets, right? So it's like, in both of them you get to level it up where you're going to basically be pulling in multiple targets as well. So it's one of those weird things, right? Like, yeah, you might have reason to do it, but be careful because I haven't found a way in here to reset. So like for me, I think some of the talent traits that I'm going to go into, especially is just dark arts core and stuff. It's really weird to talk about it like that because I don't think that realistically any player, like whether you're playing good, bad, indifferent, or whatever, like maybe you just don't want to use dark arts, so because you're playing a really good place, you know, altruistic play style through or whatever, then maybe you don't want to invest in dark arts specifically, so that way it's an RPG element. But all in all, it seems like dark arts core and stealth, there's not enough inside room of requirement or inside spells, in my opinion, that kind of make you a good guy just by doing that by default. I mean, you could go spells, core, and that kind of, and stealth, and that kind of gives you just your good guy, and then dark arts core and stealth, and that gives you kind of like your bad guy or whatever. But it is what it is. Like, you know, like why am I not going to cast Avada Kedavra on somebody who's trying to cast it on me? Basically, is the way I look at it. So I'm having fun overall with them, but that's essentially what I plan on doing. I'm going to route into dark arts, core, and then stealth pretty heavily, so that way I can basically dark mastery. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to like what I had to say. If you do, leave a comment in the section below. Until next time, peace.